Hey everybody, Ms. Maloon here for your second Unit 14 vocab video of the week. We're going to do the next 5 words. And just to remind you, you can play along on Pear Deck. If you go to the very first slide of the presentation and you go down to the little link there, it says click here, it'll take you straight to the Pear Deck version. And if you did Pear Deck with the first 5 words, it should drop you right off at where you left off in the presentation. This is not mandatory, but if you want to practice with your words before you do your book work and take your tests and stuff next week, this is a really great way to do that. All right, so I'm actually going to run these sessions in Pear Deck so you can see what it's like and see if that's something that you want to do. It is more interesting than just listening to me gab the entire time and just rolling through the slides. So, and hey, I numbered it this time, so I'm not going to screw it up. Yay! All right. We left off at number 6, but remember this passage is all about the Transcontinental Railroad. If you remember us talking about this, it was a railroad that did exactly what it said it would in its name. It was transcontinental. It spanned the entire country from sea to shining sea. So this was huge in the American economy because now we could get goods to the entire country and we didn't have to wait on a boat to take it up a river or around in a gulf or the ocean. We didn't have to wait that long for things to get there. We could get dry goods across the country really quickly, which was awesome. So our next word is epoch, or some people say epoch, but I like epoch. Say it with me, epoch. Good. It's a distinct period of time or an age. And when they say age, they don't mean like, oh, you're 23 years old. No, they mean an age as in like a specific span of time in history, right? So we could talk about like the Golden Age or the Dark Ages, right? So it's a span of time in history. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad marked a new epoch in commerce for the United States. So it marked a new stage of history for us. It marked a new, distinct, clear period of time for us that was new and exciting because we had this new technology that we were using to advance our economy. Here we have a chart that kind of goes through different epochs in Earth's history and kind of talks about some of the animals that we figured out were there over the last 23 million years. Okay, so they split it into 5 epochs. And here is a skeleton of a woolly mammoth, which would have been from a completely different epoch than we live in right now, which is pretty cool. What's one important event that has happened in our current epoch? Okay, so what's happened in our current epoch that is really important? Newsflash, you're living through it. All right, next word is estrange. Say it with me, estrange. Good. Not Lestrange, my Harry Potter fans. No. It is estrange. Okay, it's a verb, it's an action word. It means to drift apart or become unfriendly or to cause such a separation, to remove or to keep at a distance. Oh, we're kind of all estranging ourselves from other people right now because we got to keep our 6-foot distance. But if you estrange yourself from somebody, that usually means that you are drifting apart from them, either physically, emotionally, or both. Okay, so sometimes if you have family members that you haven't talked to in a long time, that you are not on good terms with, you don't speak to each other, a lot of times people will say that you're estranged from that member of your family. Okay. The wealthy men who invested in the Transcontinental Railroad would not have estranged themselves from their money if they hadn't been sure that it would succeed, right? So these wealthy men who invested in this Transcontinental Railroad would not have separated themselves from that wealth if they weren't sure that the Transcontinental Railroad was going to be good and it was going to do what it was supposed to do and was going to succeed and make them lots and lots of money. So here's some examples. This person is estranged from this group of people. She's kind of separating herself. Here we have some physical and maybe metaphorical estrangement, okay, between these people. Okay, they're obviously separated. They're split. Name something that could happen that might make people estrange one another. What might happen between a group of people that might make them split? Okay, so for some people it's getting divorced. Some people estrange themselves from people that they've divorced. Usually not if they have children, but it kind of depends. If you maybe had a really big fight with a family member and y'all just aren't ready to forgive each other and move on, you might estrange yourself from each other. Things like that. So type your answer over here in your answer box. Next word is gratify. Say it with me. Gratify. Perfect. It means to please, to satisfy, to indulge, or to humor. So the idea is if you gratify something, yes, it's where we get the word like grateful, gratis, excuse me, that's where we get those words from, because it means to satisfy or to please somebody or to indulge yourself. Okay, if you're humoring somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean you're making them laugh, but what it means is that you're kind of giving them what they want. Okay, sometimes if they're like, oh, I could tell you a million bad things about you that would make you sad, and you're like, oh, humor me, right? It's kind of like your way of saying, oh yeah, bring it on. Okay. Many business owners wanted a better way to gratify their customers on the opposite coast. So they were in favor of building that transcontinental railroad because they could satisfy or please their customers on the other side of the country, because now they could get those goods and services to them faster. Here's somebody eating like a giant bar of chocolate. It might be very gratifying. She's indulging in that bar of chocolate. You can humor somebody by letting them sleep, right? If you love them, let them sleep. Okay, you can satisfy them or please them by not waking them up early in the morning. Name some ways you have gratified yourself during the quarantine. So for example, eating Easter candy in your pajamas while watching Tiger King. I have no idea what that's like. I have no experience with that. Type your answers over here. Number 9 is infinite. Say it with me. Infinite. Good. Notice it's not infinite or infinite. It's infinite. Done. There's no extra N in there, so be careful. Sometimes it doesn't sound that way. It's a noun and an adjective. As an adjective, it means exceedingly great, inexhaustible, without limit, or endless, right? If it's inexhaustible, if you've exhausted a resource, that means it's done, it's gone, there isn't any more of it. But if it's inexhaustible, it means not exhaustible. It means there's no way to use up this resource, okay? As a noun, which means it would be preceded by the word the, we think the infinite. We could say an incalculable number, the concept of infinity, okay, it goes on and on and on forever, never stops, right? If you capitalize that I, then you say the capital I infinite, it's actually another name for God, okay? So, if we talk about, I pray to the infinite, right? Or I ask the infinite for answers, right? That means you're talking about God if you use that big capital I, okay? It's another way to say that. The opportunities for the growth of the American, let's try that again. I'm having a hard time today. The opportunities for growth of American commerce seemed infinite once the railroad was built. Okay, remember we talked about commerce last time. It's just the buying, selling, and transporting of goods. Okay, getting stuff bought and sold into where it needs to be. That's commerce. Okay, so that the opportunities for growth in American commerce seemed unending once this railroad was built, because now we could get things to wherever they needed to go. So here's an example. Oh, you can't see the Mobius strip. That's a bummer. But this ball will continue on its course all the way through, and it won't stop. Okay, it goes along each side of that structure, and when it does that, it never stops. Right there's no point at which it falls off or or ends. That is what we call a Mobius strip or a Mobius structure. And they are to kind of help us visualize infinity, because if that ball started, it would never ever stop. Here's the infinity gauntlet. I know our word is infinite, but it's the root of that word infinity. If you take the word in off of there, you have finite. Okay, infinite, finite. In means not, so infinite means not finite, not ending. Okay, there is no end, right? They called it the infinity gauntlet because the idea was that once you had all 6 stones, you would be the master of everything. Nothing could stop you, right? You were infinite, because you could go on forever. Obviously, that didn't work with Thanos or Iron Man. Spoiler alert. Excuse me. Would infinite life be good or bad? Explain. Just an opinion question. If you think about the idea of infinite and what infinity might feel like, do you think that would be good or bad? Maybe you have an idea for both. Write them in here. Next word is irascible. Say it with me. Irascible. Good. It means easily made angry or hot-tempered. Many store owners were becoming irascible because their goods were not being delivered in a timely fashion. But the railroad changed all that. So store owners would buy things from companies. Companies would have to get that stuff to the store owners. But because we didn't have the railroad yet, it took forever. Once the railroad was built, they're like, oh, yay, hooray. But irascible means that they were easily angry. They were hot-tempered. They were grouchy. So here's some examples. We have just a general guy being pretty steamed about stuff. We have Donald Duck here, the king of irascible behavior, because he's always kind of angry, jumping and hopping around and being upset about something. What events might make you feel irascible? What might make you feel like you are hot-tempered and upset and angry? Okay. You can type your answer here. I know for me, it's when people don't do the things they say they're going to do. Like, oh, I'll, do the dishes. And then they don't. It's like, it makes me really mad because it's like I kind of plan my day around not having to do that thing. And then now I have to do it because nobody else did it. And it bums me out. It makes me mad. All right. So those were words 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 5. We are done for today. Please check in tomorrow and we'll get your next 5 words. Have a great night. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.